I decided to take and show you after 4 days. Wanted you to have a look at this kombucha to see how bubbly it started to get. Is the new kombucha formed on the top, and it's sealing it off, and it's trapping all the carbon dioxide that's trying to escape. It's pretty active right now. So that tells me it's going to be a good bubbly batch. Good luck with yours. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and share with you my kombucha routine that I do every week on Saturday, and that just helps me remember to not let the ferment go too long. So I'll go ahead and go to the cupboard and I'll get out the kombucha that has previously brewed the week before. I'll take the cover off, you know, smell it. Yes, it smells like kombucha. Sometimes I'll sample it, but because I know this is for my climate and my temperature, it takes about 7 days. I know that my kombucha is ready. The Scoby is fully formed and thickened, and there are bubbles usually right up at the surface all the way around because it has formed a seal, and so I know that it is ready. And the first thing I do is I go ahead and take out what I'm just going to bottle for drinking. So I'll go ahead and do that real quick. This is my preferred way to drink kombucha, is just plain and unflavored. But the rest of my family, they like it to be flavored. Do you see all that effervescence coming up? This is going to be a really good one. And I'm going to go ahead and put a lid on this. Any kind. This is just something pretty that I enjoy having. But see, do you see still all the effervescence and the bubbles going up? This is my fermented kombucha tea, and I'm going to go ahead and put it in the refrigerator to enjoy about a glass each day throughout the week. Next, I'm going to go ahead to my, I call this my Kombucha Hotel. And this is my big container that I keep all the Scobies in that I have used before, that are healthy and that I might be giving away or selling. You'll also notice that on the top layer here, my hands are very clean. I just washed them, don't worry. Another culture has already started to grow. And that's because this has got kombucha tea down in it too. So I'm just going to put that down in there, and I'm going to plunge it down. I will show you later some of the uses that I have for my kombucha Scobies, but that's not today. Today we're just working on making kombucha tea. This is our new one that just brewed this week. So I will go in and I will remove the new Scoby that just formed. If it's gonna rip, I just leave it together. But otherwise, like I said, I will just separate it and it will go into the hotel. Looks like this one's a little thinner, and I'm not going to be able to get it apart. So there was really then no need to get that out because I won't be putting it in there. So let me just drop that back there. And I'll cover this and slide it over out of the way, and I'll put that back in the other cupboard it goes in. So this is the rest of my kombucha tea, and I'm going to go and do what is called a second ferment on most of what's left here. So let me get the juices ready, and I will show you how I'm going to bottle these up. Alright, because most of my kids prefer to drink kombucha that is flavored rather than the original flavor, I do like to do a second ferment on that. I'm going to go ahead and take this half gallon. And whoops, the first thing I'm going to do, I'm using just 100% juice. It's important that you do it with no sugar added. I'm having a problem getting it to focus right now. There we go, 100% juice. I know it's backwards. And I'm going to go ahead and fill this probably about 1/5 of the way up, about 20% full with the juice. This doesn't taste exactly like grape soda, like the water kefir does, but it does give a good taste to the kombucha. Oh, the Scoby's getting on the way. Let me go ahead and pour right here. Sometimes I strain it if it looks yeasty. You might see stuff floating around in there, but I don't today. So I'm going to go ahead and just fill this, giving it a little bit of room to expand and to get bubbles. And then I'm going to put my airlock fermentation lid on it that I've already prepared with the water. So even though it's bubbly, it'll go ahead and I will, oh my goodness, it's having a terrible time. I'll go ahead and set this to second ferment. Usually it only takes 24 hours, sometimes even less if it's a really warm time of the year. We're just in the beginning of March, and even though it's pretty warm outside in the 70s and 80s, I'll still leave this out for 24 hours on the counter to ferment. Then there is still some left, so I'm going to go ahead and actually put that in a glass, and I'll sip on that today. And that usually works out perfectly. Then I'm left with my Scoby and maybe a cup of what's called starter tea in the bottom, what I've already used. If this is your first time making kombucha, you will need to purchase some starter tea, unflavored. Don't get any that's already been fermented the second time that has ginger or watermelon or chia seeds or anything added in it, just the plain original kombucha. My favorite kind to buy for that is actually called Wonder Drink, and it's from Seattle. We're going to put this to the side and go ahead and work on making our new brew of kombucha. So I take this container. This is what I like to brew in. I've already put on my kettle to boil. I've purchased fair trade organic black tea, because tea is one of the things that is sprayed most often with pesticides, and I don't want to put that, of course, in my body. But I have read on more than one occasion now that the fermentation process does take care of that. I'm not sure about that myself. I can't be certain, so I wouldn't pass that on. And then these are just 2 tea bags of green tea. These were 3 black tea bags. I usually use loose leaf, but like I said, I'm out of that, and I don't know when my Azure order is set to be delivered again. And then these are 2 green tea bags. I prefer, and I was originally taught to do it with a mix of black tea and green tea, and that was by Sarah Pope, the Healthy Home Economist, back in 2009 when I first started making kombucha. So you've got a mix of black and green, or you can do all black, but they do need to be caffeinated. Don't use decaf tea bags. And then I'm going to go ahead and pour in my water and then let these brew. I'll set this on there, and I'm gonna go turn on my kitchen timer for, I like to do it for 20 minutes, and I'll come back for the next step that we're gonna do together. Okay, I did forget to tell you, and it's only been about 1 minute. There's nothing magical about letting the tea brew without the sugar in it, so I'm going to go ahead, especially if you're in a hurry like me and you need to walk away for a while. There's no reason that you have to wait to add the sugar. So I'm going to go ahead and do ours. And for our preference, and again, it doesn't taste sweet when it's done, but I've found that it works the best when I use 1 1/3 cups of sugar per gallon. So I'm going to just put that in there right now too. As long as you're not adding the Scoby into it when it's hot like this, you're not in any danger of killing it. So if you wanted to mix your tea and even hurry the process along by adding the rest of the water to the gallon, as long as you don't put your starter tea and your kombucha in with it right now, your kombucha culture in, you're fine. So do it in whatever order that works best for you. Okay, the timer went off, so I'm going to go ahead and take out the tea bags right now so they don't get bitter. You take them, toss them in your compost pile. Right now, we're working on our worm bin, so that's where these are going to go when I feed the worms. I'll probably show you that in another video. It's working out really well to really get our soil ramped up, since we don't know what it's been treated with. But I'm squeezing these out, and then I'm going to stir because I know that the sugar is sitting at the bottom. Then the next job is to get this down to no warmer than room temperature. And you can do that, of course, by adding in the rest of the cool water that you'll need to make up the gallon. Okay, I don't feel it coming up anymore. Go ahead and get the Scoby out, as well as the starter tea liquid. And unless you've had a problem with mold, or you know something went bad, there's really no need to wash it out. I probably do about every 4 batches, but no more often than that. Go. Of course, this is the part where you're going to make the mess the most often. ahead and get some filtered water, spring water, whatever you're going to use, just anything but chlorinated tap water. If it's cold, or at least cool, even better. And I'll add that to it. But as long as it feels any warmer than room temperature, I don't really want to add my Scoby to it. But because that water was not chilled, it is still warm. I feel the pitcher is warm, so I'm not going to pour my starter tea and my Scoby in there. It's probably okay at this point, but I just want to make absolutely certain that I don't kill off any of the beneficial bacteria and yeast that I'm trying to cultivate in the tea and then eventually in my body. Alright, this has cooled down sufficiently, and I wanted to talk to you for a minute about why I have chosen this container for my kombucha tea, aside from the fact that I enjoy the pretty colors. It is easier for the kombucha to culture properly in a container that is short and wide rather than deep. So when I have tried making it in bigger vessels, it has taken a lot more starter tea and a lot thicker Scoby, and I'm talking about a 1-inch Scoby to make it in a larger vessel than just this regular 1-gallon glass jar. This works perfectly for us, even with a large family. We don't consume tons of this, maybe a couple people, a couple glasses a day, well, 1 glass each. So about 1 gallon a week works for us. I have tried the continuous brew, and I don't like it because the kombucha continues to ferment and goes more and more sour and begins to become vinegar before we can drink it. So 1 gallon maintained 1 time a week for us works best. The reason I chose this vessel with a spigot at the bottom, though, is because you are going to want to try it and see what's going on, especially if this is your first time making it. I would recommend not checking it until day 7, but you can sit this out on the counter, put a little glass under it, and just dispense just a little bit and taste it and see what's going on. Again, don't do it before day 7, but you are going to want to find out what is your perfect brew time from 7 to 10 days. It should not taste sweet anymore, like sweet tea, but it also should not taste vinegar and sour and make you want to hold your nose when you drink it. It may or may not be bubbly and effervescent. That really will have a lot to do with whether or not the kombucha Scoby has formed a tight seal around the circumference inside and allowed the carbonated gases to be given off and build up underneath. But it definitely will increase if you decide to do a second ferment. So again, this is just at this point, this is regular sweet tea, just like you would serve to your family. I'm going to go ahead now and I'm going to add back the starter tea that I saved. And at this point, you can do anything you want with your Scoby, but I like and I recommend, please don't be grossed out. This is nothing disgusting, although it looks that way. But I do recommend that you try to get it to spread out and stay floating on the top. If it doesn't, that's okay. You haven't ruined anything. If it sinks to the bottom, your only concern at this point really is just that it doesn't mold. Okay, you see, it didn't want to stay and it went down, and that's fine. I might try to pick it out. I probably won't right now. Sometimes they stay, sometimes they don't. But no matter what, you are going to get if you have a healthy culture, you are going to have a clear gelatinous film begin to form kind of where the white bubble line is, and it's going to spread from one side of the glass to the other. It's going to grow and it's going to seal that in there, and then begin to do its thing as it ferments. And that's what you want. And like I said, you can sample it maybe, you know, from day 7 on to see where it falls on the spectrum. If you have never tried kombucha before, I would recommend going out to the store and buying some of the commercially prepared kombucha. It won't taste exactly the same as what you're doing at home. But if you know you don't care for fermented foods and you are not trying to include them in your diet, then this may not be for you. But if you know you're trying to include more healthy things and get more probiotics into your body or more acetic acid, and kombucha is a good way to do that. If you're trying to kick the soda habit and you know how to get your kombucha good and bubbly, this is one good alternative for that too. So I hope you are excited, and I hope you have good success. If you have any questions about your kombucha journey or endeavors, please leave me a comment below and I'll get back with you. You will want to cover your kombucha with a flour sack cloth or a coffee filter, or just like I've done right now today, a simple rubber band with a paper towel. And that is really just to keep the gnats and fruit flies that would be attracted to this, because they love it. In fact, that's a really good way to catch them if you have a problem with them in the summer as you're bringing in more and more of your produce from the garden. But again, if you have any questions, I'd love to hear from you and help you out. And thanks for stopping by Dixie Living Homestead. Good morning. I wanted to take you over to the cupboard to let you have a look at the kombucha that's been in here for 4 days. You can see the old Scoby layers on top. Wow. Look at those active bubbles, though, that are in there. This is 4 days old. The new Scoby layer is forming up at the top, at the neck, and it's sealing and it's trapping those. Some are still able to escape, but the more that build up, the fizzier your kombucha will be. And again, this is after 4 days. I still have several more days. I could have 4 more days if I leave it in here for 8 days, but usually between 7 and no more than 10 days will be a good ferment for your kombucha. Wow, that's really bubbly today. I usually don't catch it when it's moving. But there's those several layers of Scoby. Remember that it sunk when I put it in, but of its own it has come back to the top and started forming the new layer as well. So there's like a baby Scoby underneath and the new one. And the mother that was already there. Good luck with your kombucha.